So, if you want to know what's actually going on the front lines in Ukraine, like what the situation's really like, you're about to find out. Greg Terry has been running aid, and he's with me. And this will be on both of our channels on Greg
Mhm.
Terry Experience as well as Professor Gerdes Explains. Greg, thanks for being here, and I'm glad you're safe because it didn't sound like you were in the greatest places earlier.
No, I haven't been in the greatest places for quite a few days now, and it will continue for the next few days. That's why my news updates aren't happening. Normally, it's just not possible. We basically start about 7 a.m. and usually finish about 10 p.m. Today, I actually dropped aid 6 times. Also had meetings with commanders, drone pilots, military. When we're running, we have so many relationships. It's literally, hey, we're coming through here. Oh, meet us at this coordinates. Let's have a cup of coffee. It
Mhm.
happens nonstop. We could go 24/7, but that's 28 years working here. Zhenya, he's Ukrainian, so we know so many people on the front, and it's a benefit for us because it grants us access to places that others cannot get, and that allows the world through us. You and I partner together nonstop to help Ukraine where they need it the most, and it's with drones, brother.
Yeah, we're going to talk about drones at some
Hmm.
length at the end, but tell me what you've seen as you're on the front. Like some of the stuff that you just sent me kind of curled my hair. So try to paint a picture for people.
I have ridden through miles and miles and miles of drone netting where um, the Ukrainian military now has taken responsibility for that because the private sector, when they were doing it initially, doing an okay job, but they didn't understand really the complexity of how important these nets are. So
Hmm.
now Ukrainian engineering teams are actually building these.
Hmm.
I actually sent you a picture today. You could see the
Hmm.
military everywhere. You could see heavy vehicles, and these nets are intense, man. And they're swooping them out now, and putting the roof over, and it is a eerie feeling to drive through those for
Hmm.
miles. And not
If you
only
don't,
that, in certain locations where you drive through the nets, and this is okay to share, no problem. Ukraine actually has like sentry guards, or guys that are assigned to be near the nets with weapons to shoot down or attempt to shoot down, or net guns or other things. This is how many drones are flying.
mm,
Today, Jenya and I were on one of the roads of death. And now there are multiple. And no, that is not the road between um, Pokrovsk and Konstantinivka yet. That was a road of death, but that is completely controlled by Russia now. So, of course, we were not on that road. But there are multiple roads of death where we're losing a lot of soldiers and a lot of civilians. Um, and I can honestly tell you today that we got into a military convoy and we were running about 170 kilometers per hour. That's about 105, 110 miles per hour. And imagine a convoy, and it is hammered down. And the reason it's hammered down is because of FPV drones.
yeah, you don't want to be stopping there
You
in the in
can't.
the,
You,
the
you can't
process.
stop. And so an FPV drone, I have learned so much this time, Prof. An FPV drone, I don't care what anybody says out there. It's coming from the guys. They can move at times over 180 kilometers per hour one
Wow.
way. So the technology is increasing rapidly, both for the Russians and the Ukrainians. And this is a technology war. I asked today, I was with 6 different units today, and I asked them all the same question. What kind of war is this? Because we heard from President Donald Trump, who says,
Yeah.
Hegseth is going to be studying, and the warfare has changed.
Hmm.
Um, and they said, man,
I keep saying it. Yeah,
this is nothing but a drone war. And
that's right.
I actually met with a guy who's way up. I shared a little bit of this with you privately, and everything now's on delay from where I'm at, where we go when I put videos up, because you never
Mhm.
do it where I'm at. But I met with a guy a couple nights ago and actually shared the conversation with you privately. They're very confident that Ukraine and Russia, and in a third place coming quickly is China,
Hmm.
could literally take high level drone teams and the technology that both Ukraine and Russia have and literally wipe out NATO armies, wipe them out, wipe
Yeah.
out air installations. And it's sad to say, this is, great. And they gave me a point blank example. Your F-35 project in the United States cost $2 trillion, and an F-35 cost about $80 million. And they say, well, Ukrainians love to say, go look it up. So guys, go look it up. That's how much money. And the guys looked at me and goes, I can take about a $5,000 drone and destroy
Hmm.
an F-35, no question.
Yeah. Our freedom here is our liability, just like Russia's size is its liability, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
we're
you
learning
you
more
can you
about
can
that.
park just outside the Air Force Base near my house, and you
Mhm.
you could park there and do a Operation Spiderweb, and wow, uh,
Well, I completely agree with that and concur. There's nothing OPSEC here, America. You can just ride around.
yeah, that's right.
Another place I think about is Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, you're right
It's
off the main drag, right off.
Are
What is
you
it?
kidding?
40.
Off of 40, you can
You can
literally
see
just
the
pull off.
planes. Yeah,
They're just sitting there.
yeah.
And okay, it is, of course, that's in the side, right in the center of the United States of America, and no FPV drone is going there. But,
But
but
but if somebody wanted to do harm, they could ride as freely as they wanted throughout the United States with FPV drones in a truck, and nobody would think anything about it because the freedom would we enjoy. So we have to be aware that we're into a new world.
I
This
I
this
don't I
war
don't want. Yeah, go ahead.
this
Go ahead.
war
Mhm.
has given us a new world of drones being the big weapon. Just like the last war in Afghanistan, IEDs were the big weapon. Just like in World War II, tanks were the big weapon. So this is just where we are.
I talked to a gentleman yesterday, a commander of a drone unit. And guys, I know we're talking about drones only, but that is what this war is.
Mhm.
Are there missiles flying? I can tell you right now, currently, when we're recording this, we're under air alarm. I've already heard an explosion where I'm located. Um, and there's been heavy explosions in Kyiv, and no, I'm not in Kyiv. There's a lot of drones heading towards Zhytomyr right now.
Mhm.
There's a possibility of Tupolov's 95s getting in the air. So, Ukraine's prepared. But I had a commander tell me, and he says, Greg, you guys in America need to be really careful. And I said, what are you talking about? Explain it to me. I want to understand. He goes, well, I don't want to bring fear to you. I said, man, I'm here with you. I'm not afraid. He goes, yeah, yeah. He goes, but like people would panic. And this is why we got to be careful, even on the information we disseminate and how we share it with people. You know, we don't want to alarm anybody. Don't be afraid. But he says, you don't realize how vulnerable,
Yeah, that's right.
not only the United States, he says, but Europe, it's so vulnerable. And
It's like
if
pre 9/11.
anything, it is. He goes, if there's anything Ukraine can do right now, it is warn our friends, you better understand drones.
That's right. Absolutely.
I talked to a guy today, and he needed some some antenna system. I don't want to go into it too much, but he needed this special frequency antenna system. And we're rolling around dropping aid. We've been helping this guy for years, and he called and he says, "Man, I'm in dire need of this, and we can get them. I don't have the resources. My unit doesn't have the resources. And Greg, maybe in the future you could help us with this." I said, "Man, not in the future. We're going to do it today. We just did a fundraiser. We're helping the Sixth and with other people as well." And I said, people gave extra. I said, we'll take care of it today.
Mhm.
And I just met with him a little while ago. And I said, okay, what can you explain about this? He goes, well, what these antennas allow me to do is defeat electronic warfare. He goes, because these antennas allow me to switch frequencies. And
Mhm.
I was learning different things. He goes, so what it does, I can begin to read electronic warfare. And once I begin to read it, I can then begin to send calculations or adjustments
Mhm.
to my computers. And I mean, he's pulling out video and showing me, he goes, this is what I
Mhm.
do. And you can see the frequencies. Once I see that, I move it, all of this. And he goes, this allows us to keep our drones in the air longer. I said, okay, give me an idea what you're looking at. He goes, I'm always flying over 25 kilometers.
Mhm. Yeah.
25 kilometers,
Yeah.
guys. About what, 17 miles? I said, and you bring it back to you? He goes, oh yeah. He goes, that's nothing. He goes, that's just the basic. I said, well, um, what stops you? He says, when I can't battle that EW, and
Mhm.
it's tough. He goes, but the issue now is, and he goes, to be honest, Russia's ahead of us, but we're catching them.
Mhm.
Is artificial intelligence, and now on a lot of drones, guys. And this
Yeah,
is
that
not
sucks wave.
OPSEC; it's public information.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've been reading
When
about this kinda thing, yeah.
when electronic warfare hits these drones, and these are all different types of drones, not just FPVs, but multiplicity of types. He goes, when that EW will hit it, like the Russian drones coming in, our EW hits it. We're trying to take it down. It instantly turns off all of that, locks on a target
Mhm.
while it's under that electronic attack,
Mhm.
locks on a target. He goes, then there's nothing nobody can do. It is going to hit that target unless you actually, shoot it out of the air.
So when you described this the other day, you said
Hmm.
it's only it's pure offense, right?
Pure.
Explain that out a little bit.
The offensive side of drone warfare on the Ukrainian side and the Russian side is advancing faster than the defensive side, meaning it's like a football match. So we can talk about soccer or American football.
Let's talk about soccer. That's more,
Yeah,
people understand that better in an international audience.
when you have an offensive movement going,
Mhm.
the offense pushes first, then the defense has to respond to that. And this is why even we've been hearing from Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth and this crazy stuff that I'm not seeing a lot of news right now. It's not possible, but we don't want to be only defensive. We want to be offensive. We want to be the Department of War, and I'm hearing all that, and Ukraine's hearing all of that as well. And they're going, okay, they're starting to actually understand that you can be defensive all you want, but if you're not advancing offensively, you're going to lose. So where we're at right now is there are certain defensive actions of electronic warfare that Russia can't stop from us.
Mhm.
And to be fair, there are actions they do with drones warfare that we can't stop from them.
Okay.
And it advances quicker. So defense catches up with offense.
Tell me about my analogy here. I used half of it the other day, but we have a soccer match. Drones are like the offensive players on either side are like professionals, where the the defensemen in the backfield are more
Mhm.
like high school players trying to keep up, but desperately trying to keep up, but they can really never match them. Is that fair analogy?
It's spot on. It's
Okay, now
spot
let me
on.
extend
Mhm.
this analogy. And drone warfare, I showed a visual of this the other day. It's like instead of when you get to the end of the field and there's this tiny little goal, it's really all the people in the stands are there, and there's a huge net all the way around them, and the net is behind them, or like it extends
Mhm.
behind them, and they're lobbing these soccer balls that are explosives, and they just have to get it over the line. It doesn't really matter where it goes over the line. Once they can get it over the line, any target is good. I think that's a pretty fair analogy for
That's a
what's
very
actually
fair
going on.
and it's a very fair analogy, and especially from the Russian side within 30 kilometers to 40 kilometers of the front. It is like the net is behind, and
Yep.
they just want to hit
Anything.
anything,
Yep. That's
anything.
right.
And this is
A
why
car
you
is just as good as a soldier, is just as good as a tank, is just as good, like anything that's out there. We can, and it's hard. You can't defend it. Like your defense maybe is 10 to 90% offense. Like, I mean, it's just way imbalanced or some. I mean, so maybe it's not 90, maybe it's 80-20. I don't know, but it's just offense really has the advantage with drones as far as I can
Well,
detect.
there's two things. There's definitely one thing I want to enlighten people with um, about drone warfare, but let me save that for a second. So there is a highway that connects Mykolaiv to Kherson,
Hmm.
and it's called M14.
Hmm.
Um, I'm on that highway, been on that highway, will be on that highway, and even on these runs. And it's extremely dangerous now because of FPV drones. And it was just a few days ago that I'm sure you guys have seen the report of the civilians that were killed on the M14. I know the exact location they were killed, and I also know that it is a good distance from Kherson in Chornobyevka and really not military oriented at all. It was just civilians going down the road. It was a good target. And this is where you may have an example. Electronic warfare hit that drone
Hmm.
and it's going down. AI locks on anything that's moving
Hmm.
and it goes into seek and destroy. I can also tell you guys right now, confirmed 100%, not OPSEC, it's public information, but I've talked to these people there. Um, FPV drones now are reaching into the Mykolaiv region,
Hmm. Yep.
and even some are into the city of Mykolaiv. But the Mykolaiv region between Mykolaiv and Kherson, very rural, very rural. Looks like the plains of Iowa, really very flat and kind of pushes down towards very agricultural, but lots of little villages. And all of these villages now are being tormented by
Yeah.
FPV drones. It's the human safari.
Yeah.
This is the best way to explain it. Used to be within a kilometer of the Dnipro River
Hmm.
in the city of Kherson. Then it moved up to the top of the hill. Then it moved up to Chornobyevka, which is a very famous place just before you come into Kherson. Now that human safari is moved up 20, 25 kilometers into rural Mykolaiv and
Yeah.
Kherson. It's horrible.
And add to that that you don't need somebody at the controls when AI takes over, and it's like the Terminator. It
Um,
just is like I've written a number of papers. I go to conferences to talk about AI. This is what we're trying to avoid with AI in the future. That AI becomes something that how the Russians are using it just to. And again, both sides are going to need to adjust to this in order to make this work, right? But where it's making these decisions without the human being locking onto something just to go destroy. And yeah,
let me let
this
me
is far worse than we ever thought it was going to be initially.
and this is why you're beginning to hear rhetoric out of nations, not only the United States, European nations, Asian nations like uh, China, North Korea. Of course, can you imagine this initial even Shaheed technology didn't come from Russia? It came from
Yeah.
Iran to Russia. They modified it like crazy.
Hmm.
Okay, 100% without a doubt. The most damage in Ukraine is done with Shaheeds. It
Yeah,
is
sure.
not the missiles
Yeah.
because there's so many of them and they carry very heavy payloads now. But what I wanted to share with you guys is when you think of, um, these Ukrainian soldiers, and sometimes, yeah, they are like giants. And you'll be seeing them, guys, on videos upcoming over the next week or so as I'm sharing. Professor Gerdes and I did a partnership fundraiser together, impromptu. You're going to be seeing all of that, everything you donated for and more. You'll be seeing the hand-to-hand deliveries. It's in process and continuing. You think about these guys, you go, okay, man, that dude's big. Those Ukrainians are like big. Of course, they're always big next to me. Okay. But when you come to a drone unit and the majority of units now are drone units. I mean, you have your stormtroopers, you have your frontline artillery, you have air defense,
Yeah.
but
But drones
air
just punch way above their weight. I mean,
aerial reconnaissance, drone. eh, The point I want to say, if I could, however many of you watch this video, whether on Professor Curtis's channel or mine, if I could put you in my pocket and take you into a drone command center. All of you would, I promise you, you would be like, this is an army?
Yeah,
They're all in
it's Revenge
camouflage.
of the Nerds. That's what it is.
It That's exactly what I want to say with all due politeness. They're all very high-end nerds.
Mhm.
And they're I can't define somebody as a genius, but they put genius effort into it.
Mhm.
And I'm privileged to be able to sit down, look on monitors with them, watch drones fly. They explain things to me. They show me how their computer screens work.
Mhm.
I sit there. They'll take over a Russian drone. Now I'm watching the Russian FPV drone, and Russia's doing it to Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So I'm being very fair here. Both sides are doing it, but they are working on these computers, and it's like programming and frequency monitoring and frequency watching. It is not how this was 3 years ago with a guy with
Right,
just
it's
some
not how it was a year ago. I mean, I
with a
the innovations that I've seen, even at a distance, when you go beyond when you make the leap to electronic war from drones to electronic warfare to FPV, fiber optic to
Mhm.
now AI. I mean, we're not even where we were a year ago.
No,
Like it's so different.
it is not. I mean, it is. These heroes sitting here and they've got their FPV goggles on and all that. That's true. You see videos of that on social media or whatever. That is true. But when you get into these heavy command centers where it's like the brain center of these
Mhm.
drone units, you would think you're in the headquarters of Intel, Microsoft, Google, or Apple. Yes, they're in a bunker. It's dark, it's moist feeling, and they try to keep it dry because there's so many computers and screens, and they do a great job. There's always a fire going, even in the summer. It's keeping things warm and dry because they're underground. And you go in there, and you literally, I could be in Intel's headquarters right now or Google's headquarters.
Mm.
There's just nerds everywhere, and they're calling calculations and working on this and
Mhm.
typing, and it's it's impressive, but it gets us back to where we started. Russia and Ukraine. They are I want to be completely fair and objective here. I use the word light years because everything moves so quickly,
Mhm.
but they are years ahead in
Yeah, sure.
technology. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, we're
Years,
slower to
years
stay.
ahead.
We are walking around blissfully unaware as if it's, September 10th of 2001. I mean, that's kinda where we are, and we're very, very vulnerable, and, yeah, we gotta wake up. Okay,
I
tell me
know
last.
we have focused on drones this entire video, but I hope everyone watching that um, if you've made it this far in the video, you're enjoying learning about this and hearing, right from my eyes to yours. But it's worth spending this amount of time on because it
Mhm,
is the story. It is the story. Let me ask you one question. And I talk to all the soldiers, and this is the question I ask them. I say, hey guys, and I know these guys well, so I joke with them, and it's very informal. I'll go, wasn't you the one screaming for F-16s all those time for years? I said, where's your F-16s at? They go, Greg, the F-16s are doing their job, but the F-16s are obsolete. We needed them at the beginning of the war.
yeah.
This is not an F-16
That's
war
like if you had
anymore.
tanks at the very beginning of the war, you could have done crazy damage and the window passed. And
Yeah.
then it's the same kind of thing now, right? I mean, so now you have to fight at this different level. It's like tactics. Our military tactics would have been to like in Afghanistan and Iraq, roll in with this big convoy. You're big and bad. Nobody's going to touch you. You do that now,
Well,
that thing's just going to be lit up every way, left, right, and center from drones.
well, we're done with this video. I'll be getting some sleep because we roll out again very early in the morning. I would look forward to your guys' comments though on this one topic here. I mean, do you guys remember just 18 months ago how F-16s and coming or not coming? Oh, they're going to be there next week in a month. That dominated the headlines about Ukraine for months and months and months. You hear nothing about it now. They
Mhm.
are working, they are doing their job, but it is not an airplane war. It's a drone war.
Well, and there's 2 things to that. One, there is a slight obsolescence, and right?
Mhm.
But the other thing is you have to let them strike into
Oh,
Ru
you
deep
well,
into
fair
Russia,
enough.
and that's
Fair
the
enough.
other piece of
Now,
the puzzle.
I wanna be completely fair on this. Um, glide bombs are a horrible problem.
Mhm.
They do, um, as much damage as the Shaheeds, like, on a
Yeah,
regular basis.
and
The
and that's another
missiles,
one of these, offense, but no real defense kinda scenarios, right?
unstoppable,
Yeah.
unstoppable. And that's on both sides because Ukraine now also has
Mhm.
glide bombs, not to the level of Russia, but they're growing in it. It's always catch up. But in reality, just I look forward to people's comments because you just haven't heard anything about F-16s in months,
Yeah,
and
that's an
there's a
interesting
reason for that.
observation.
Mhm.
Okay, last thing, I know you
Yeah,
need to get
last
to
thing.
bed. Tell me anything else that you want us to understand about what you've seen on the front line since you've been here, as you're running aid, dropping off, going through
Mhm.
those nets. Where if you think about those nets, they're like baseball cages, right? I mean, like where you're hitting
Yeah.
the ball, and I mean that's what it feels like under. What else have you seen that you want to share
Okay,
with us
so
real
you're
quick?
on a, and I will actually be able to share video of the nets later.
Yeah.
Approved, already approved because we get permission on all this stuff. But just for the nets themselves, I can't explain the eeriness of that.
Mm.
So wherever you guys are at, it's a 2 lane road, just a 2 lane rural road, which is all the main roads out here. And it's like Prof said, it's like a baseball batting cage. But if you've never experienced that, just imagine 7 meters high and then about 2 to 3 meters wider than the road. And they are building frames for miles, 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 miles. And then it's just these nets that come across the top and then swoop out. And they need to be long because you guys have been seeing a lot of video where even FPV drones are coming inside the nets
Mhm.
and then working. So this is why
Yep.
it's not just like at a checkpoint, or I'm telling you, just hear me, miles of
Mhm.
nets, miles. So that's an eerie feeling. The other thing that I would say is I have noticed a significantly diminished population of civilians
Mhm.
in all the frontline cities and towns that we've been in and will be in as we continue. But you guys know all these cities, and you even the smaller size cities. It's easy for me to see. Like Janya's coming back and forth nonstop, but I'm here, and then I go home for a few months, and then I come back. So for me, it's like I'm telling him, I said, dude, there's a lot less people here now. He goes, really? I said, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, because he
yeah,
doesn't see it as right, where you see it as a
because
big
he's
threat,
there
or
nonstop.
or
But
the dearth of men that you noticed when you first got back.
yes, I there is a significant um, out west, a significant there's just a population change in Ukraine. I think
Yeah,
that's the fairest way I need to say it right now
yeah,
because I'm privy to some information that I don't think I should share. But Ukraine's struggling, um, and that's why the government is passing the laws. It is passing the mobilization being adjusted. All of these things. Who can lead the country? Who can come in? Um, because it's a challenge right
yeah.
now for manpower for Ukraine.
Yep, sure.
Big
I mean,
challenge.
that's no secret that there's a
Yes.
manpower issue. All right.
Yes.
Well, you need to get your beauty sleep, and
Oh, yeah. I got to get my beauty sleep. And I just want to say thank you once again to everyone in Professor Curtis's community, to everyone in my community. You guys know we partner together all the time for years. And it's hard to say that it's years now because
well, it's I mean, it's a
it's
year and a half at
approaching two
least
years.
now. Yeah, 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 we're
Getting ready to be
working towards it.
September.
Yep.
Yeah, and but it's just a joy that we can, be an avenue where you good people of the world, for grassroots efforts to help, and then to see your help validated as fast as we can do it, and we say thank you. I'm just the guys here are overwhelmed with the kindness and the love that you guys have expressed, not only in this fundraiser and stuff we're doing right now, but even through the year and a half that we've partnered together, because it's been substantial,
Yep.
and we couldn't do it without you guys. So we say thank you, and I
Absolutely.
hope I hope that this is giving you a little bit of insight. And if you're really interested in this area, I suggest read up on it a little more, hit some Google searches or Chat GPT. But if you're not interested in it, I suggest you become interested in it, because this is the story.
Yeah.
Period.
The future is coming for you, whether you like it or not. Yeah.
It's
All
here.
right. With that,
All right, buddy.
we'll end. Let you get to sleep, and thank you all for watching. And we'll be back sooner or later. And Greg and I chat almost every day, and we're
Mhm.
just trying to keep you informed. All right, Greg,
Thank you, brother.
get some sleep.
Have a good night. Be blessed, guys.
Good night.